Hey guys, it's Wednesday, day 9 of Vlogtober. Originally I had a different topic planned for today, but I wanted to tell you about a little visitor that is currently at my house. I came home on Sunday morning, I pulled in my driveway and I saw what I thought was a leaf at the top of my driveway, like kind of huddled in a corner. Well, the leaf wasn't huddled, the rat was huddled. I didn't know right off the bat that it was a baby, but the fact that it was out, I mean, I don't see rats in my neighborhood. I'm sure they're around like in every neighborhood, but I don't see them. And the fact that, you know, this rat was out during the day seemed a little odd. So I went and got a box and I got a towel and I picked her up, put her in the box, kind of let her chill for a second because she was probably freaked out. And then I tried to like check her out and make sure she didn't have any obvious like injuries or anything like that. And she seemed okay. She seemed like her weight was okay. She looked healthy as far as I could tell. So I don't know exactly what happened, but somehow she got lost in my yard. And so I brought her inside and took some pictures first because I figured whoever I'm asking for help is probably going to want to see. I wasn't even sure at this point that she was a rat. I thought she could be like a mouse, or some people on Facebook also thought she was a mouse, but she's a rat. She's a roof rat, also known as a ship rat, also known as Rattus rattus, which is the scientific name. Also would be a cool band name in case I ever get around to starting one. So I took my pictures and I started calling around. I first called the California Wildlife Center in Malibu. Even though I'm like in San Pedro, which is not really close to Malibu, a lot of times they will have references that are like in your city that are close by. So they gave me a number. First of all, they had me text them a photo of the rat. I'm guessing so they could identify it and approximate like how old she was. And then they responded right away with someone's phone number. So I called the phone number. It was a wildlife rehabber who mainly works with squirrels. There's a very detailed voicemail message when I called the number with basically a lot of like what if scenarios. Like if your animal is this, then do this, don't do this. If your animal is this, then, you know, etc. The voice message also gave a number to text and said that you might get a quicker response if you send a text message instead of leaving a voicemail. So I sent a brief description of like what was going on and I sent the photos and she responded. Oh, and I also said I was in San Pedro and would be going to Culver City later that day, and I could drop off like with anyone who is available. And she responded, I don't know anyone who works with rats in that area. Give him a piece of apple and see if he eats. So I didn't actually have any apples and I had to literally drive to the store to buy an apple for this rat. I got 2 different kinds of apples because I didn't know what kind of apple she liked. So I came home, cut off a few little pieces of the apple, gave her some, ate the rest myself. I'm eating really healthy, by the way, since I've got this rat, because I have all this produce that I'm buying for her and then I'm eating the remainder, and I eat a lot more than she does. So I gave the apple pieces to the rat, texted the person back with a bunch of questions, never got a response, and it's now, that was on Sunday and it's now Wednesday and the rat is still with me. She did end up eating some of the apple. I gave her some pieces of grape, what else, some greens, basically what I had on hand, because I thought this was going to be temporary. I thought I was going to take her somewhere else, so I didn't go buy I didn't go like buy rat supplies. Also, I estimated she was like around 3 weeks, which is like almost time to be weaned. Maybe not quite, but I know when I've fostered like puppies and kittens, sometimes if they're orphaned, they will wean them like a tiny bit early. And she was eating solid food, so I felt okay about that. But then the next morning, I didn't really think she was looking as good. The first day though, after she ate and got warmer, she definitely like seemed like she had more energy and like she was feeling good. But yeah, the next day, I just didn't like how she looked. So I went and got some Pedialyte for her and some formula. The internet, multiple sources on the internet said to use infant, like human infant soy formula. They said that's the closest like fat percentage, I guess, compared to rat milk. So that's what I got her. I also went and got her like a little hamster cage, which like is not anything that you should be keeping a rat in long term, but I just wanted to get her something temporary that's like a little more spacious than the box she was in. And you know, once she started getting a little bigger, she could get some fresh air and like see what's going on outside and get like not be so closed in, because she's been in like a little cardboard box that like my Sunday Scaries CBD gummies came in. Which I mean was fine when she was tiny, but she's like, today is the first day that she's been in her big girl cage most of the day. And she's doing pretty good. I think she's into it. She's like climbing around on the bars and stuff, and she has a little hut that she loves to go into. I actually just went home to check on her about an hour ago, and I didn't even know she was big enough to carry things, but she was in her hut when I got home, and I just kind of like peeked in there to see how she was doing, and she had took one of the little apple pieces in there, like from her food bowl, and took it in her little hut, and I thought that was really cute. So I think that's pretty much everything that's happened between Sunday and now, except for a couple of terrifying moments. It's terrifying. Like, being responsible for a tiny being is terrifying. So yesterday, when I set up her little cage, and I put her in there for a little bit, I didn't think she was ready to be moved like permanently, but I needed to wash her bedding that was in her original box and clean it out and stuff. So I put her in the new cage, and she went right in the hut. I put some, like, there's like this nesting, it's like, I think it's made out of bamboo. It's like this nesting material. It's kind of like cottony. That's in the hut. And so she right away went in there and started making her little nest, and she just like wanted to be in there and chill and like sleep and stuff. And every time I went in to check on her, she was in there sleeping, and I was like, okay, she'll be in there for a while probably. So I went and cleaned out the stuff, washed her little towel, did some other stuff, came back in to check on her, and she was sitting atop her cage. Not inside, outside on the roof. Just looking at me like everything was fine. And I realized, and this was completely my mistake, those silly hamster cages that they have all the little holes in them where you can like stick stuff, you know, like the tunnels and the little like extra bedrooms or whatever, whatever you put in there. So there was one of those holes on the top of the cage for the water bottle, and I didn't put the water bottle in because she's like too short to like reach it, and I've been giving her Pedialyte through a syringe, and I put a little dish in there, but I don't think she's drank out of it. So she's not big enough to drink out of the water bottle, but she is big enough to climb the bars and then find that little hole and escape through it. Like, she's freaking Mission Impossible. Terrifying. She was okay though, and I learned from my mistake. And literally when I left her today, so the cage bars are pretty small, but when I left her today, like, I put her in and I set her up with all of her stuff, her food, her little hut. I put some extra bedding in there so she could be extra warm. And then, like, as I was about to leave, I went back in there one more time to check, and I got her out, and I found the biggest gap in the bars. Like, there's one spot at the top of the cage door where the bars are like slightly further apart. And so I got her out, and I like kind of put her face up to it, But she kind of like pulled her head back, like, what the hell are you doing? I'm trying to make sure you don't escape again. I wouldn't trust this cage to be secure. I mean, it's not big enough for an adult rat anyway, but I wouldn't really trust it to be secure with like that size animal. Even if it's just like a temporary cage to like hold the rat, like this is not a super sturdy cage, but she's like tiny. She's like this big. The other terrifying thing, so that was yesterday, and the other terrifying thing happened this morning, and I still don't know if she was too cold. I mean, a big concern with babies this small is that you keep their body temperature up, and I mean that's true with like puppies, kittens, whoever. And when they have their mom and their litter mates, it's a little easier, right? Because they kind of all pile on top of each other and keep each other warm. But when you just have one, sometimes you have to provide like a heat source for them. And I've been keeping a close eye on her and trying to, you know, make sure she doesn't seem cold. And because sometimes they'll like shiver, or they'll just slow down and be kind of lethargic. And so up until now she's been okay. But this morning, first thing in the morning, I got up and I warmed her up some Pedialyte, gave her that in a syringe. Then I went and I made her formula, warmed that up, gave that to her. Then I went and ate my breakfast and stuff, and then I came back in to check on her like an hour later, and she did seem like she was kind of slow. She didn't feel warm, which like normally when she sleeps, like her body temperature is a little bit lower, but it just didn't seem right to me. And so I put her in my shirt like next to me so she could get warmer, and she did start to warm up pretty quickly, but she like still seemed kind of like slow, and like I held her in the palm of my hand and she like kind of lay down and wanted to close her eyes, and I freaked out. I was like kind of panicked, like something is wrong. But I think she might have been sleepy. I think she might have been okay. I mean, it's good that she got warmed up, because she shouldn't really, like, in the past when I've like woken her up, sometimes her body temperature seems like slightly lower, but today it seemed like lower than that. So it's good that I warmed her up, and today I set her up with a heating pad like on the low setting. And I've been like stopping by every 2 or 3 hours in between clients, because it has like an auto shut off, so I've been turning it back on. And she does seem a little more comfortable. The only reason I didn't do that before is because she didn't seem cold, and I was also concerned that it could go the other way and she could get too hot. Especially because she wasn't super coordinated because she was so little, and a big problem with like providing a heat source, if the animal's too small or like uncoordinated to like move off of it, then that can be a problem. They can like overheat or get burned. But today I definitely felt like she needed a heat source. So I set up the heating pad under her cage. She's getting more agile now, so I'm not really too concerned that she would get too warm. I'm definitely not worried that she would get burned with the heating pad on a low setting, but she might get too warm. But I feel like now she would be more likely to like move away from it. But she does seem like really happy. Like I think she likes having the heat on, and now I kind of regret not doing it sooner, but it's okay. We're good now. So this is all new information to me. I have taken care of bottle babies like puppies and kittens before. I fostered and volunteered and like pet sat for clients who were fostering. Definitely this is my first time with like being responsible for any rat, let alone like a tiny baby rat. I got this book. I got this book on Amazon. I ordered it yesterday and it came today. I've kind of flipped through it and it already seems like it's going to be helpful. But another problem is that her species is not a domesticated rat. So some of the stuff in this book might not apply to her. And even like looking around online at some of the like companion rat websites and like Facebook groups and things like that, they have experience with only like domesticated species of rat and not her species. Also, I guess I should mention this just to clarify, the goal with rescuing any orphaned or injured wildlife is usually to just rehabilitate them and then release them, right? And you want to avoid treating them like a companion animal because you don't want to habituate them. You don't want them to get like super familiar with humans or like become like attached to humans or dependent on humans. And when I first got her, I wasn't really sure what that was going to look like. Like the first day she didn't like me. She did not like me. I would like come toward her like kind of slowly and like, you know, make sure she knew I was coming, and she'd like hold up her hand like this, like get away from me. But by the second day, and especially after I started giving her the formula and Pedialyte via the syringe, basically like hand feeding her, after that she definitely became my buddy. And I saw the vet with one of my cats a couple days ago, and I asked her about it. She used to have rats. She doesn't actually see rats, but she used to have rats herself. And we kind of both agreed that with the amount of handling she's gonna need, she might not end up being a good candidate for release. So based on what I've read online, like basically if you decide you want to keep a wild rat tame, it's important that you like handle them frequently. So they make a lot of like positive associations with you, which I mean, being fed, she is like stoked on that. So I think the positive association is there, and I go in there and like handle her every like couple hours probably. I try not to disturb her when she's sleeping because I know she needs to rest, but like if she's up, like I'll pick her up and see if she wants to eat and see if she wants to hang out. She likes to run around on my hands and like climb up my arms, and we do this thing where we made up a game. You guys, I'm like a rat lady now. It's fine, but it's unexpected, okay? But we do this thing where she'll be on the palm of one of my hands, and then I take my other hand like this and I make like a little, and she just crawls right in there. Like I'll do it multiple times and she'll just keep doing it, and I don't know if she thinks it's a game or if she thinks it's annoying. She's probably just like, I just want to be in your hand and just chill there, but then I keep like doing this. It's the cutest thing, you guys. It's so cute. Anyway, I feel like I've rambled a lot about rats, and I'm gonna have to go home and edit this tonight and post it, and the more I ramble, the harder it is to edit, so maybe I should just stop talking. But there will probably be a part 2 of this video once I get some more video of her and get to know more about rats and about her, and also once I can like more confidently share with you what I've learned. Like I'm really learning a lot as I go. There is some information on the internet, but even about like, I mean, I know I said she's a wild rat, but even about companion rats, there's not a ton. Like there's a few websites that are like pretty reputable. But unfortunately, a lot of when you look up rats, it's like stuff about rats being pests and like how to get an exterminator and what kind of traps to get, and that's kind of sad. But I do feel like I'm learning a lot, so maybe I will put it in a blog post or another video or something like that, because I feel like this happens a lot. People find a little baby and they don't know what to do. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to eat dinner at my parents' house and pick up Bruce because he's been staying there for a few days, and that's it. Okay, bye.